Okay, so for this video, we are going to read this blog from Hacker News, written by Ashwin Matthews. Creativity fundamentally comes from memorization. I've always been curious about both of these concepts, creativity and memorization. I feel like it's absolute magic how we can just memorize things and remember them, and then we can just combine what we've memorized to make consistent and interesting things and ideas. Right, so if I just go a little bit bigger. So we do the usual thing. Check out the author. Ashwin Matthews, San Diego based software engineer, open to PM roles. Currently running Doppelio, previously built and sold MR recruiting, hacked drones at SkySafe prior. I enjoy dissecting abstract concepts through a hacker's lens. This is pretty fun. Alright, it's pretty good. He's an engineer, so as you can see, he's built some stuff. So we can see that he has that itch in him that he wants to build, and he cannot stop himself. So creativity fundamentally comes from memorization. July 2024, we are in August right now. There's an update. After hitting Hacker News front page, I was surprised to see most of the criticism was people contesting the definition of memorization, for which there is apparently a strong negative connotation. People who either didn't read the article or somehow mistook me as dismissing creativity as being mere memorization? Question mark. People suggesting a blog should never be published unless it is a rigorous academic paper. Oh my god. This is very funny because, as you know, you don't have to be a, what is it called, meteorologist to know it's raining outside. So yeah, I bet you a lot of academics, they don't know what they are doing. So you better be open to a lot of people and just respect. Have a first, give the benefit of that to everyone in the first impression. Just listen to them, you will learn a lot. Okay, in which case I'm pretty pleased. The strongest valid criticism being the one claiming this post was semi-obvious. Alright, whatever. I'm often made fun of for bringing a system into creative outlets. Things like written down heuristics on best DJ transitions, breaking down the humor patterns of comedians and memes, or a checklist of best practices for competitive video games. Examples being Rocket League, Call of Duty. But I think this critique misunderstands what creativity truly is. A flash of inspiration connecting internalized concepts. The inspirational lightning bolt writers and artists experience can happen unless they know how to write or draw. A poem can't be created unless the author sees the similarity between one word and another they already know. A DJ can't mash up two songs unless they are familiar with both. By definition, you can't even be certain of novelty without familiarity of existing works. Pretty good so far. It seems it's getting a little bit philosophical, but I like it. Creativity comes to those who have internalized the patterns of their art. They can see the connection or novelty because it's all in their head. Therefore, autonomy enables creativity, and the system helps achieve autonomy quicker. It all starts with learning. Some time back, I discovered a method for learning anything quickly. Involves two steps: memorizing the different classifications and patterns in the concept, exposing myself to a breadth of cases so I could match the real world example to one of the previously learned patterns. This is very true when you're learning a new language. Just imagine yourself in some random situation and you're like mi chiamo something. Yeah, just for those who are wondering, I took Italian 101. Anyways, for many that remember school, this won't sound novel, yet what's often missed is the application beyond academic subjects. Sports, learning to recognize weaknesses in defense. Sales, learning to recognize someone's conversational type. Humor, recognizing common opportunities for humor in a situation. Even academically, while older Western curriculums seem to emphasize memorization, new school teaching seems to have shifted towards understanding based, which is just a memorization aid. Eastern cultures, on the other hand, have maintained focus on drilling this primitive tone like autonomy, as shown by popular tutoring services like Cumin, which involves daily time tests to develop speed. Growing up with Indian parents in California, I was exposed to both. My mom would write daily Cumin sheets out by hand for me to do and teach me from Indian textbooks from the same grade, which was much more advanced than the US equivalents. The results was me breezing through the US school system without much thought. The key here is memorization's role in learning. We often tout the difference between memorization and true understanding, which are indeed distinct. We often tout the difference between. I don't know what tout means. Oh, why are we going to we are going to YouTube, my bad. Tout meaning attempt to sell something typically by. So basically, we are labeling these things different. Memorizing the different methods of attacking mathematical integration is different from being able to use the right one in the moment. But I maintain that such pattern recognition is just another form of memorization, though often a more subconscious one. This is learned from repeated exposure, and what I'm attempting to do when I to see a breadth of cases after learning the framework and available patterns to use. What this is really doing under the hood is creating a heuristic and wait for it, memorizing it. Once this heuristic is internalized, it becomes a new primitive and focus our attention to higher level problems. Yet even if knowledge is memorized without understanding, as higher scholars so often do, this creates an opportunity for understanding to manifest at a later date. I'll never forget the shock I received when working through a proof in college on electromagnetic waves and suddenly ending up with 3 to the power of 3 times 10 to the power 8, a value I memorized blindly as the speed of light. Alright, I was right on that. But doesn't this make things mechanical instead of creative and intuitive? But doesn't this stifle creativity? Making things mechanical instead of creative and intuitive? On the contrary, it enables creativity and intuitiveness by reducing energy needed for the basics, freeing you up to focus on higher level novelty. Once a dancer learns the fundamental movements of their specialization, they are able to improvise. So are pianists once they learn skills, and mathematicians, though sadly many of us never experience the joy of mathematical improvisation, as Paul Lockhart covers in his Mathematician's Lament. What is that? Oh, I need to read this. I don't know what this is, but I need to read this. Anyways, the key is understanding the system doesn't directly make creativity. It just enables it. Memorization's role is similar. Another strategy that works well in both humor and famous EDM drops is violating the expectation. But you need to know the expectation before you can violate it. Once you learn music theory, you are able to violate it in ways that resonate. Avant-garde art requires knowing what the establishment is to push the boundaries as orthogonally as possible. Perpendicular, man, come on. One of the best personal examples is learning sales, which eventually be another blog post. As a not intuitively charismatic guy, I had to learn systems for things like tactical delivery skills. Pause for 2 seconds before responding. Don't use too many conditional in a sentence. Start with the answer, then go into the details. Alright, see, I'm learning something. So you pause, then you don't say if this, that, don't make it too logical, it's a sales. And then start with the answer, give them what they want to hear, and explain it. Simple, straightforward. As well as what questions to ask from spin selling. Situation questions, problem questions, impact questions, needs payoff questions. While at first calls were clunky, once internalized, creativity abounds. Recognizing when the convo is naturally jumping straight to the impact section of questions means I don't force us back to the problem questions, we just shift forward. All of a sudden, sales calls and human interactions in general get fun. Life improves. Ramifications. The obvious thing I've taken from this is my learning system. Using this step above, I can learn things quickly to accomplish personal and career goals. Most recently, he learned how to sell, how to fundraise, how to be a reader. The less obvious thing is a creativity system. If creativity is born from autonomy in multiple areas, then one way to become more creative is to become autonomous in many areas. True, this can be within a single domain like music. Deeply studying and learning the patterns of hip hop and country can lead to the creation of a hit fusion like Lil Nas X's Old Town Road. But it can also be cross domains, like we see in most startups today. I used to work as a reverse engineer hacking drones at SkySafe, which was a company born of intersecting expertise in information security plus radio. Even Doppler emerged from my understanding of information security exploits, magic tricks, and sales. As the internet democratizes information and low-hanging fruit is harder to come by, we are saying that expertise in multiple fields like this is needed to create something novel and valuable, as seen in startup and music. Generalists these days are more like repeat specialists. So if you want to be creative, learn lots of things in depth and learn how to learn them fast. Embrace systems to achieve this and use them to free you up from the basics so you can focus on the novel. If you're in okay, that's all that. 2 footnotes. I made both the memorization step and the US schools shift into understanding based footnotes point here because they touch on something I call the web of knowledge. Understanding something deeply means fitting into your model of the world and seeing how it connects to other learned patterns. Besides the connections to other subjects, the biggest value in this is ease of recall from having multiple entryways via the connected subjects. This is extremely valuable and I naturally do this during my memorization step, but functionally it's just another way to aid recall in my opinion. Number 2, yet America tends to dominate when it comes to creativity. Why? My theory is that while Eastern students start with a much stronger base from this discipline, many never unlock the exponential gains that come from the joy of learning. Part of this is probably due to more stability in the US, with a more developed safety system, stable, although it may not seem like it, political and financial system relatively, with lots of opportunity. We can focus on higher Maslow's hierarchy needs like passion and self-actualization. This is partly why I think we are seeing and will continue to see Indians and Asians rise in prominence as kids raised with Eastern fundamentals, but the US love of learning unlock new levels of creativity. And as generational wealth builds, a branch out from the more traditional Asian fields like STEM and into arts and US politics. We are already seeing this with Vivek, Nikki Haley, and everyone else. All right. I totally agree with memorization. Um, personally, um, like sometimes you just feel like you need to be good to start doing this, but you gotta realize you just gotta sometimes just write, copy paste, write by hand, like 5 pages of what you want to learn, and then you will have a eureka moment. You're like, aha, I can connect these. These are not just random text anymore. And excuse me for my voice. Um, so yeah, mm, it works very well for language. Except for language, you need to be in the environment. It's like learning language learning is like learning swimming, but you live in the desert. As good as you do like all these crazy moves and like work on your form and like your this and that, if you're never gonna use it, if they show you to a pool, if they just jump like push you in the pool, you're gonna just sink because you've never actually jumped into the pool and swim. No matter how many Michael Phelps videos you've seen, no matter best coaches just telling you do the crazy workouts, this, that, whatever. Um, I agree with all these, but just have to point out, um, choose a few things and be really, really loyal to them. It's good to branch out, but branch to five. And you at some point you realize that every time you start something new at the beginning, it's very passionate, it's very exciting, and then you're gonna hit the break wall, and there's some other shiny thing, and that's more exciting. But the pattern repeats. You're just gonna hit the break wall. So that's why you have to just stay on whatever break wall you're and just push through that. If you need to memorize it, if you need to write down 10 pages, believe me, writing down 10 pages of text, it's just 20 minutes, 30 minutes max. And the results of that, it's incredible. Alrighty, so that's for this video. Thanks for watching.